But it's even more serious than economics. Because if you rob people of their identity, if you rob them of their democracy, then all they are left with is nationalism and violence. I can only hope and pray that the Euro project is destroyed by the markets before that really happens.
Hello everyone, this is GG for GB, and it's this time of year, it's the end of the year, January 30th, 31st, 2017. And now's the time when everybody around us does well to reflect and look back on the past. But like I have always told you, George Washington said, we should not look back unless it is to derive useful lessons from past errors and for the purpose of profiting by dearly bought experience. How true those words are. When we look back at our life as Jehovah's Witnesses, we don't want to look back to cry and to moan and complain, but we look back to learn our lessons and to forge a better future for ourselves, and like it is written in the Declaration of Independence, for our posterity. We're doing the work that we're doing as Jehovah's Witness apostates for not just ourselves, but for those that are still captive and for the children and the ones to come. We are supposed to teach our posterity the useful lessons that we have learned by being part of an oppressive cult. And 2017 was a great year. I'm so privileged to be associated with so many great apostates. I feel personally so blessed that I am one of the most blessed apostates in my opinion, because I have collaborated with so many great people. I mean, so many great people, and I can sit here and give you all the names and be a name dropper, but you know that I've worked with a lot of people in my different apostasy work, and I consider it a privilege that these men and women have decided to collaborate with me in one form or another. And another thing is I am so privileged. I really am. I consider it such a great honor looking back at 2016 and 2017. 2016, I made a prediction. It was the end of 2015, and I made a prediction that 2016 was going to be a great year. 2017 was even better. But in all those years, I have been so blessed because, Maria reminds me, Maria Frances Ackley, Russell's wife, the one he left in Florida. She reminded me that, Gilbert, a lot of people in English and in Spanish have downloaded your voting ballots and have sent them in to the addresses listed below. I consider it an honor and a privilege, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And the reason why we do that is because to show clearly how the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses have no clear leadership.
Now I know that virtually none of you have ever done a proper job in your lives, or worked in business, or worked in trade, or indeed ever created a job. But listen.
We do that is because to show clearly how the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses have no clear leadership. You see, the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses are like 7 captains on a ship, 7 pilots on an airplane. You can't have 7 CEOs of a bank or of a major corporation. There has to be one clear leader giving directions and pointing the way and saying, we've agreed, we've talked about this in our meetings, the shareholders, the board of directors, we all agree we're going forward and this is the direction. And that is why, one of the many reasons why you have the problems that you do with the Jehovah's Witnesses and the governing body. And that's why I, today, am going to do what normally we shouldn't do, and that is make predictions. But since the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses likes to predict the future, I'll predict the future as well. The year 2018 will be the year of the apostates. The year where the apostates kick it up a notch. The year where the apostates increase, the kingdom cart crashes. The year where the apostates are not only successful in crashing world headquarters on 11/5 right here in New York. But the year the apostates will go to San Diego, Los Angeles, West Palm Beach in your conventions, in Denver, in Chicago, in St. Louis, in Dallas, in Houston, where Jehovah's Witnesses will rise up and they'll bear witness of the crimes of the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, the crimes against the human rights, to steal people's families, to deprive people of their future, and like the Constitution of the United States says, to allow every human being to have the pursuit of happiness. The Jehovah's Witnesses will have to answer, and the governing body will have to answer, because the apostates will make it known all throughout this land of the atrocities of the governing body. You know, speaking of 2017 and the great year that it was, when we went to Warwick, we did the every door direct mailer, and everybody who lives near Watchtower headquarters got the message of the child pedophilia, the destroyed families, and the people who die in the hospitals and the suicides. And we did that with, thank you, many of your donations. And we're going to continue raising money, doing what it takes to make sure that this message gets all over. We are going to encourage you. And how are we going to encourage you? Well, we're going to have a lot of different programs, and we're going to announce one in a couple of days. Something that's going to really motivate you. Motivate you to say, yeah, 2018 is going to be the year of the apostates, and I want to be part of it. And when you do something significant, like crash a Kingdom Hall in Tucson, or when you crash a cart witnessing in Denver, we're going to put up a star. We're going to put up a star and let people know that, hey, we are going to preach the bad news of Jehovah's kingdom here on earth, all across our great land. And we are going to let the people know of what Watchtower has done, the damage they have done. In your house, in your circle, you have, for example here, in Yuma, Arizona, you have a man, which is me, whose family is destroyed. My brother and my sister. My sister called the FBI on me. Our family is destroyed. They're hiding pedophiles in the Avenue B congregation. Avenue D congregation. And the Avenue A. That doesn't include the Somerton and the 5E. Imagine if they're hiding pedophiles here, if they're destroying families here, then they're doing it all across this great land. And we the people, we the ex-Jehovah's Witnesses will not let this stand. And in 2018, it'll be the year of the apostates. The governing body has to make a decision. It has to lay the matter bare before the congregation. It has to come clean, or it has to be destroyed. There is no saving the Watchtower. Watchtower has two choices: come clean or be destroyed. And we, the apostates, are going to do it. And it's very important that the government doesn't do this, but that we, the apostates, do it. Because when we, the apostates, bring justice to the governing body and to all the other members who are responsible for the lies, the destroyed families, the hiding of the pedophilia, and the people who have died in the hospital unnecessarily, and all of the suicide victims, when that happens, all of the other cults, like the Seventh-day Adventists, the Mormons, the Jews have been waiting for the Messiah for 2,000 years, and they're still taking 10% of people's income. They're going to take note. The Scientologists will take note. They'll say, what happened with the Jehovah's Witnesses can happen to us, and they're going to have to change. If you're going to be a religion in the modern times, you're going to have to change, because we're living in different times. And so that's what we're going to do. Another thing we're going to be doing is we're going to change our postcard. Our postcard, I've mailed so many of these postcards, me personally, out of my pocket, thousands of them. And I mailed them to elders. It's interesting that when I sent this to my brother-in-law, where he works at in a city government, all of his friends in the city government said, hey, what's this? 1,000 pedophiles. Well, he had to defend Jehovah, but he couldn't. So his wife, my sister, calls the FBI on me. So there's another man in Montgomery, Alabama. In Montgomery, Alabama says, Gilbert, can you please send these postcards to these elders and to where they work? I get a phone call from a lady in Montgomery, Alabama, telling me that she's going to report me because I am, like a restraining order. You can't do a restraining order on postcards. And she said she was going to report me to the FBI. Get in line. Get in line. Why are we going to send postcards to the elders and where they work? Because the elders need to answer. When an elder of Jehovah's Witness goes to a secret meeting and 3 of them destroy the life of an 18, 19, 22-year-old girl or boy because they found out their sexual details or orientation, and they destroy their family structure, their social structure. At the end of that meeting, these men go home and make sweet love to their wives, meanwhile destroying the life of another young man or a young girl. And nobody gets upset. Nobody pushes back. But 2018 is going to be the year of the pushback. We're going to push back, and we're already winning. The governing body does not even believe its teachings. It's so bad that they're cutting the publications down to 3 a year. The governing body they have run out of lies. And I'll tell you one thing, friends, that every man has its breaking point. And the Jehovah's Witness governing body, the shareholders, the board of directors, they're at their breaking point. And we need to push even harder in 2018. Now, not all of you are going to be on board. Not all of us are going to be able to work together. But that's fine. If you can't work with me, that's fine. But find somebody else that you can work with. But we're going to be very aggressive in cart witnessing. That's going to go up. A cart crashing. We're going to make it to where Jehovah's Witnesses don't want to go out in the street. We're also going to increase the Kingdom Hall crashes. And the conventions. The conventions, you will see us in bigger and greater numbers. Many of you, I understand, don't like this. And the reason you don't like this, because before you were born, or when you were a little kid, there were a group of people like you who told Dr. Martin Luther King, I agree with you, Dr. Martin Luther King, but I don't agree with your actions, with your direct actions. I don't agree with the way that you're doing things. But Martin Luther King says, I can't work with these people. They have to go somewhere else. You see, we have no other choice. When you take away a man's family, when you take away a man's future and past, when you separate him from his girlfriend, his wife, his children, you even destroyed his job prospects. What does a man have left to do? What does a man have left to do but to fight back? Enough is enough. And one thing we're going to do, and I know a lot of you are not going to be able to be part of this, especially those of you who are very kind and gentle people. A lot of great, kind and gentle Jehovah's Witnesses here. A lot of you born again, fundamentalist Christians. Even some of you secular Christians, who are Christians, but you're like, hey, I'm just the kind of guy that wants to just, get along. I'm going to make an announcement today, and we have a lot of things that we're going to be doing in 2018. There's another one action that we're going to be doing in a couple of days. Stay tuned for that. But I'll let you know right now what we're doing with our direct activism. Imagine that you're going to a convention, San Diego, Tucson, with your mom and dad. You're 16 years old. And you see signs, right? You see signs. You say, well, John 3:16. The kid says, John 3:16. Well, I'll read you John 3:16 over there. Nothing catches your eye. But then you see a guy like me with a sign that says, FUJW.org. Look it up. FUJW.org. FUJW.org. Oh my God. A lot of you Christians, a lot of you born agains, a lot of you great people are saying, Gilbert, no. You don't have to stoop to that level. No. I understand. But when a Jehovah's Witness group of men, when 7 men in New York City that move over to a huge parcel of land with billions of dollars, and they build a huge compound with billions of dollars of all of these people, it's money. When they tell a young man that he can't marry the love of his life, he has to say FUJW.org. When a woman is told that she can't talk to her children, you have to say FUJW.org. See, FUJW.org is a state of mind. It's a state of mind that no, I will not let these men control my life. I will not let them destroy my life. In my congregation here in Yuma, there was a man who fought in the Korean War. No, take it back, South Pacific. The one that fought in the Korean War is Ramos. Rojas fought in the Pacific, World War II. His son was born in the late 50s. And his son was a Jehovah's Witness all of his life. Rojas started the congregation down here in Yuma. He tried to get my dad to become a Jehovah's Witness. My dad loved him, but couldn't do it. Peter Rojas, all of his life was a Jehovah's Witness. He tried his darndest, got this fellowship, had problems, but he kept going back, gave his whole life. A couple of weeks ago, he died. He died. It was all a lie. Everything was a lie. They've given their lives to these men in New York, and no one is saying FUJW.org.
Just who the hell do you think you people are? You are very, very dangerous people indeed.
How many more children have to surrender their whole lives to Watchtower and then die with the empty promises and the changing teachings? The things that Peter Rojas believed when he died were probably not in line with the new light of today's governing body. FUJW.org is going to be something that the kids understand. The kid understands FUJW.org. It's my life, and I'm going to live it. And if I'm going to meet my maker when I die, then I have to tell him this is what I did. I have to shine my light. I know it hurts some of you to think, Gilbert, FUJW.org? Yes, FUJW.org. Because it's going to be the year of the apostates. It's going to be the year that we push back. And all of us are going to be pushing back, whether we work together or whether we work apart. But by working together, we're going to free other children, whether they be in Kansas or in Phoenix or in Tucson. We're going to free them. We're going to free them of these men and their stronghold. Eric J.W. Struggle has that song, Times They Are A-Changing, and in 2018, the time is changing. The time is now to act. The time is now to get a backbone and to stand up and to take back your family, take back your city, take back your lives. Did I cover everything?
For European politics, but perhaps even for global politics too, because what the little people did, what the ordinary people did, what the people who've been oppressed over the last few years and seen their living standards go down, they rejected the multinationals, they rejected the merchant banks, they rejected big politics, and they said, actually, we want our country back, we want our fishing waters back, we want our borders back, we want to be an independent, self-governing, normal nation, and that is what we have done, and that is what must happen.
We got some great news happening in a couple of days. You're going to tune in. I'm sure you're going to want to join with me. On the postcards, if you have any ideas on how to redesign this, we're going to be making these available here pretty soon on our website, FUJW.org, which leads you to JW Crisis. And we'll be able to get these mailed out to the elders where they work and where they live. There has to be. When I was in Warwick, there were some losers there. There were some losers, and they were like, oh, why is Gilbert bringing up the Bible? And in one of my speech that I gave, I said, from the beginning of time, when Cain killed his brother Abel, the blood of Abel was crying out from the ground and saying, where's the justice? How come I didn't get to raise a family? How come I didn't get to raise a family and have children and be a grandfather and a patriarch? And Abel was crying for justice. I tell you, the blood of millions of people are crying out and saying, why did I have to commit suicide? Why did I have to die in a hospital? Why couldn't I go to college? Why couldn't I play Little League Baseball? Why couldn't I have married her? Why couldn't I have married him, the love of my life? I'll tell you why. Because of the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses. And now is the time to say, FUJW.org. We're going to take it all back. And you're going to have to answer. There's going to have to be an answer. Someone's going to have to pay. Because the blood of millions of people has reached the heavens and said, enough is enough. Join me in 2018, guys. In a couple of days, we're going to have a great announcement. You're not going to believe it. It's just probably about the second or the third. We'll bring out the announcement of how you can work with us, on what we're going to do. If you have any great ideas on how we can kick up the activism in 2018, let me know. And remember, if you've crashed a Kingdom Hall, if you crashed a cart, if you crashed an assembly, if you've done something or you reinvented the wheel, you let me know and we'll put a star on the map. We'll put a star on the map and we'll let Watchtower know that when you fall in the United States of America, it's over worldwide. This is Gigi for GB thanking you. I hope you have a great 2018. I hope you have lots of peace and a lot of security in 2018. And I hope to see you in about 3 or 4 days when we come out with our special announcement on what we're going to do in our aggressive activism in Watchtower with Operation number 1. It's going to be Operation District Convention. Talk to you soon.
Well, good morning, Mr. Van Rompuy. You've been in office for 1 year, and in that time, the whole edifice is beginning to crumble. There's chaos. The money's running out. I should thank you. You should perhaps be the pin-up boy of the Eurosceptic movement. But just look around this chamber this morning. Just look at these faces. Look at the fear. Look at the anger. Poor old Barroso here looks like he's seen a ghost. You know, they're beginning to understand that the game is up. And yet in their desperation to preserve their dream, they want to remove any remaining traces of democracy from the system. And it's pretty clear that none of you have learned anything. You know, when you yourself, Mr. Van Rompuy, say that the euro has brought us stability, I suppose I could applaud you for having a sense of humour, but isn't this really just the bunker mentality? You know, your fanaticism is out in the open. You talked about the fact that it was a lie to believe that the nation state could exist in a 21st century globalised world. Well, that may be true in the case of Belgium, who haven't had a government for 6 months, but for the rest of us, right across every member state in this union, and perhaps this is why we see the fear in the faces, increasingly people are saying, we don't want that flag, we don't want the anthem, we don't want this political class, we want the whole thing consigned to the dustbin of history. And we had the Greek tragedy earlier on this year, and now we have the situation in Ireland. Now I know that the stupidity and greed of Irish politicians has a lot to do with this. They should never ever have joined the euro. They suffered with low interest rates, a false boom and a massive bust. But look at your response to them. What they're being told, as their government's collapsing, is that it would be inappropriate for them to have a general election. In fact, Commissioner Wren here said they had to agree their budget first before they'd be allowed to have a general election. Just who the hell do you think you people are? You are very, very dangerous people indeed. Your obsession with creating this Euro state means that you're happy to destroy democracy. You appear to be happy for millions and millions of people to be unemployed and to be poor. Untold millions must suffer so that your Euro dream can continue. Well, it won't work, because it's Portugal next. With their debt levels of 325% of GDP, they're the next ones on the list. And after that, I suspect it'll be Spain. And the bailout for Spain would be 7 times the size of Ireland. And at that moment, all of the bailout money has gone. There won't be any more. But it's even more serious than economics. Because if you rob people of their identity, if you rob them of their democracy, then all they are left with is nationalism and violence. I can only hope and pray that the Euro project is destroyed by the markets before that really happens.